Hey everybody, happy May. We're back with another San Diego real estate market update. Let's crack right into it. Eric, what's going on out there?
Well, what we're looking at here first are the March 2022 to April 2022 numbers. So this is a very microcosmic view of the market here. It's just one month-to-month data.
It is interesting to look at, not necessarily a trend, maybe gives us some clues as to what the market is doing. We'll zoom out later to get a bigger picture, but let's talk about month-to-month.
Correct, yes. So new listings are up 2.7% here in April from March. And, again, looking at this, I don't think it tells the whole story. I think when you look at new listings for May, they're going to be up over 10% would be my guess, maybe even as high as 12.
That's a bold prediction, but let's see what happens.
Well, nothing if not bold. Pending sales are down 13.2%. Okay. And this is, potentially concerning. However, again, we're just looking at 1 month's worth of data. Whole bunch of reasons for why pending sales would be off in April versus March, and then closed sales only down 2.2%. As has been the story for many months in a row here in San Diego County, and years in fact, the median price is up, and it's up 2.9%, which is another $25,000.
Let's slide over so the folks can see that number, because that's a pretty big bump in 1 month, $25,000.
Last month, the month-over-month number was much higher. It was over 6%. We're up over 15% so far this year, I believe. And again, this is a very short view, so we have to wait for the entire year to see how much higher the median price is. But, it's going up, and it's going up fairly dramatically at this point. So now taking a look at new listings, breaking this data down and zooming out a little bit. So in April of 2020, new listings were way down, as you would expect in April of 2020. And then in April of 2021, they were way up from the previous April. Again, you'd expect that. They're down a little bit, new listings, this month in 22 versus 21. So we saw an increase in new listings month over month, but year over year, fairly relatively significant decrease. And then again, year to date, these numbers aren't that far off from 21 to 22. As we look at closed sales, again, April of 2020, they were way down, way off. Everything was off in April of 2020.
Yeah, that was a weird month for sure. Nobody knew what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah. There was just nothing going on. And then again, way up in 2021, and slightly down in 2022. It's the month-to-month data is looking similar here, I guess, to the year-over-year data. And then year-to-date, again, we're not that far off. So we have some catching up to do, but it's not terribly concerning at this point. It's just an interesting data point month over month. And then looking at median price, as we mentioned.
Ooh, look at that number, $1 million.
Ooh, $1 million. That is the detached home median price for San Diego County in April of 2022. We have hit $1 million as the median price for a detached home.
And that's just a regular house, too. That's not like a nice spread with a view. That's just a normal house in a normal neighborhood. $1 million.
Right. The median price represents the median house, which is roughly a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house at, approximately 1,700 square feet. So the median price on that is up to $1 million and way over $1 million in a lot of neighborhoods. Year to date, it just keeps going up. And, again, I believe that once we see the May numbers, we're going to see a continuation of the uptick in median price. But, of course, inventory, I believe, is going to be up, and I believe pending sales are going to be a little bit off. So we may see a plateauing of this in May or June. So, if you've got a house that you want to sell this year, this data is screaming at you to get this done now. Because the other thing that's happening, as everyone is talking about,
Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates.
And this was from Freddie Mac here, this information on the screen.
Right, yeah. Freddie Mac is telling us that the average fixed rate mortgage is 5.27%, but it's higher in San Diego County because this is the average. And as you get into higher priced homes, the pricing on loans is different. I would be willing to bet that here in San Diego County, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is in the very high fives right now. So, you know, you can mitigate high rates by, you know, taking a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Of course, you've got to qualify for that. So most people are not going to want to go with that option. And then the 5/1 ARM is becoming a much more popular option. And people remember from 2007, 2008, they hear the word ARM and they get scared. These are really not terribly scary ARMs that people are getting right now. They're not going to have a you know, harsh reset. They're not negatively amortizing. So it is a strategy you can use to keep your rate down. And this is a strategy that people were using, you know, well before ARM loans got out of control in the early 2000s.
Well, these rates look high, but let's zoom out for some context here. This is a one-year chart. Let's go out to all time.
Oh yes, let's look at all time. When people are complaining about rates in the fives, maybe even in the sixes, what have rates been doing historically?
Ooh, 1980s. Ouch.
Yeah, so this chart goes all the way back to 1970-ish here, I believe.
71.
Yeah, 71. So, you know, rates were in the sevens at that time. And then as you head into the 1970s, they really start to shoot up to a maximum of 18.36% in 1981. And this is when inflation was out of control and the Fed was raising rates like crazy to try and squeeze the money supply. And then throughout the rest of the 1980s, we saw mortgage rates falling. And, you know, there's some up and down action, but mostly the trend is obviously down until you get to here. And now we're starting to trend back up. So when you do zoom out and look at the history of mortgage rates, you know, this isn't that bad. However, high prices do sort of make this a little more painful for people because, you know, when rates are 18% and homes are $100,000, that's a high rate, but the payment is, you know, probably manageable at that point. But if you're talking about $1 million house and you push the rate up to 18%, that will never work.
That's not going to work in today's market.
No, we will never be able to sustain that. So hopefully what's happening right now with the Fed, we hope they're being smart. I mean, let's face it, the Fed is kind of a black box that you can understand it to a certain extent, but you know, there's only so many weapons they have to help the economy, and rates are the big one.
And we are expecting a couple more rate hikes this year, so you know, if you're thinking of buying, you might want to get out ahead of that.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect by the end of the year, rates are going to be settling in the, you know, the low sixes probably.
All right, folks, I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, or subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.